We are Buckmore. We are Florida.
The Marlins were in a couple of cities. They were in Philadelphia. They were in New York. But it seemed like 2 weeks. Dodging Hurricane Irene. Back home, back to play the Philadelphia Phillies. Seeing Roy Oswalt against Brad Hand tonight. All that is good news. But the Philadelphia Phillies, of the last 26 games they've played the Marlins here in South Florida, they've won 21 of those games. They've been a tough matchup for the Fish. Billy's here. The Mermaids are ready to go. I'm ready to go with my partner, Jeff Conine. Nice to have you with us tonight. My partner, Rich Waltz, on a Fox assignment, doing a little ACC football. So Niner and I will try our best to bring you the game tonight. Should be a good one. The youngster, 21 years old, Brad Hand, making his 9th Major League start.
Well, yeah, you look at toward the future of the Marlins, and Brad Hand has got to be talked about in those plans. Left-hander, 21 years old, has had some struggles so far this year. You see the innings pitched, and the biggest thing that strikes you right there is the walks. 25 walks in 39 innings. That's just too many base runners. When he's in the strike zone, very good. 236 opponent's batting average against.
Brad Hand, a lefty, has a good off-speed pitch, a good changeup, good breaking ball. Needs to throw strikes with those.
That's what it's all about. And he's also given up a few home runs, 8 home runs in just 39 innings so far in his short Major League career. Get those numbers down, get the balls in the strike zone, and he'll be an effective starter.
Now, it's one thing for Brad Hand. He goes up against a top offensive club, the Philadelphia Phillies. He'll see hitters like Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. The other thing, he has to go up against a veteran right-hander in Roy Oswalt, a guy who's been tough, a guy who the Marlins just faced in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Roy Oswalt, since coming off the DL, has been a hit-or-miss type pitcher. He's been giving up a lot of hits, but you see a very respectable 3.7 ERA. And you'll see, he's got a very good curveball, but he's been mainly a fastball pitcher most of his career. Low to mid-90s. He's lost a little bit off that velocity. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the extra hits, more hits that we're giving up now. But still, like you said, a veteran pitcher on a veteran staff, on a veteran team, that makes a very tough combination for young Brad Hand.
That's a tough matchup. The Marlins will also see Cole Hamels and then Roy Halladay to finish out this 3-game series. We'll be back in just a minute. Frank Fort has a little sit-down, nice little conversation with Marlins owner Jeffrey Loria.
National League East teams, the Phillies, the division leaders, the Marlins entering the final month of the season. Frank Fort with you. Only 12 games left for the Marlins in their franchise history now here at Sun Life Stadium. Following the conclusion of this 2011 season, the Marlins will pack up and head for the new ballpark in Miami. Construction continues. They're past about 80% completion. Everybody's excited about getting into this new ballpark. It'll be the topic of our final Inside the Marlins on September 19th. While the Marlins were in New York, I got a chance to talk with owner Jeffrey Loria. Very proud of this new ballpark, and he wants to put a team on the field that will match the excitement generated by this new structure.
You know, we've had some ups and downs this year. It's been a bit of a disappointment. The team has had a lot of injuries, more than normal. We're going to address all of that in the offseason. I promise you, and I promise the fans that come next season, what they see on the field they're going to be very proud of. And excited to come out to this ballpark, because you need both. You need a combination of an incredible environment and a place where there's so much going on and quality of everything is good. It's a place you want to go to, like you want to go home. And that's what we're going to make for the fans.
Well, Jeffrey Loria certainly understands that a new ballpark alone is not a solution to attendance problems. You got to put a competitive team on the field, and he has pledged to do that. We'll see how it all plays out over the winter as the Marlins had their beginning of their organizational meetings while the ball club was in New York and started preliminary plans toward the offseason. Right now, though, the obstacle in the way is the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Roy Oswalt going against the rookie lefty Brad Hand, Tommy Hutton, and Jeff Conine with all the action coming up next here on Fox Sports Florida.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, by AT&T, and by Checkers, little place, big taste. Fans getting ready for this weekend series, Labor Day weekend series against the Philadelphia Phillies. And as we have a few moments, we'll take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies lineup that they bring to town after a 4-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. The lineup brought to you by Warren Henry. Always at the top of the order, Shane Victorino, Polanco and Utley, 2 tough outs. Ryan Howard with another 30 home run season. Hunter Pence, John Mayberry Jr., Carlos Ruiz, Wilson Valdez, and on the mound, the right-hander, Roy Oswalt. And there's a look at Brad Hand making his 9th Major League start.
See how Brad Hand handles his Phillies lineup. Had mixed success so far in the big leagues. I'd say that hits to innings pitched has been very good. way too many walks.
Ever so important. His first pitch is a nice strike, a fastball into Victorino. Comes in with that .307 batting average, and boy, his last 17 games against the Marlins, Victorino's hit right around .330.
I was going to say, he's been killing the Marlins as of late.
Ball lofted to deep left field. Lomo on the track and just can't quite find the handle, and Victorino races to third base. That ball carried off the bat of Shane Victorino, who picks up his 15th triple of the season on a ball that looked like Logan Morrison was going to catch.
Yeah, not a real big swing here. You see him kind of lunging at an outside pitch. Logan Morrison gets set up pretty well. He looks like his glove got caught on the bottom of the wall there, or else I think he would have caught that. He almost gets caught in the back of his neck.
Yeah, I thought Lomo got back there in time. Looked like he was going to make it, but just off his glove. So infield will be back with nobody out. And Polanco, a tough guy to strike out, fouls the first pitch off.
Yeah, early in the game, Tommy, you'll see most infields, most managers will play back. They'd rather get an out in this situation than have an infield come in and have a weak ground ball get through there to kind of prolong a rally.
And Charlie Manuel has a guy up there now in Polanco who is pretty much guaranteed to put this ball in play.
One of the better second-man hitters in the big leagues. I mean, when you talk about a guy, especially with a guy on second base and nobody out that can get him over, he'll do it in a number of different ways. He can bunt. He handles the bat very well. Will hit the ball to the right side of the infield to get him over. And a true professional. Man, he's a really professional hitter.
Let's see how Brad Hand works around this situation. Good pitch, not a bad attempt with the count at the time 0-2.
Well, and you're looking for an inside pitch here. Hopefully he might offer something like that and get a weak ground ball to the third baseman. That might keep Shane Victorino at third base.
One-two breaking balls popped out of play. Mentioned Polanco, just a tough guy to strike out. Just 35 strikeouts on the year. He's spent a little time on the disabled list, and he's a guy I really think the Phillies, there are a lot of guys they need, but he makes that lineup. They need a guy like him hitting in that number 2 spot.
Not only in the number 2 spot offensively, but defensively, a very solid defender.
There's that ball in the air off the bat of Polanco, chasing Morrison back on the track, and Lomo's had to go a long way on a couple of balls hit well by the Phillies. Certainly deep enough for a sac fly, and just like that, the Phillies have a 1-0 lead.
Set you up for your Marlins defense, brought to you by Warren Henry. Got Morrison, Peterson, Stanton in the outfield. Dobbs, Bonifacio, Infante, Jose Lopez getting the start at first base tonight. And the battery, Brad Hand and John Buck.
All right, with that sacrifice fly, the bases are clean. But now Brad Hand gets to introduce himself to Chase Utley and then Ryan Howard.
So far, Brad Hand in the strike zone. That's a good thing to see by this young pitcher. Like you said, first time he's seeing the likes of Utley and Howard. But for the Marlins, to have a left-handed starter that is critical, I think, in this division, especially with a team like the Phillies with these two guys in the middle of your lineup.
Missed with the breaking ball. You know, you think about Brad and some of the starts he's had. Just 21 years old, out of Chaska, Minnesota. He's been up and down. He hasn't had consistent. He's not been able to put together 7 or 8 starts in a row. Just missed with that fastball.
One thing that you observe with Hand, and thing that I've been impressed with, is his composure on the mound. At 21 years old, you would think that he'd be a little more demonstrative and upset when he's walking guys or not getting calls, but you look out there and he's pretty level-headed the whole time.
There's a ball hit well by Utley, but tracking it is Brian Peterson, who's in center field tonight. Petey with the catch, 2 men out.
Off to the races so far for the Marlins outfield tonight.
It's one of those nights you want to make sure the outfield has their track shoes on. Hey, you know, you're right about Brad Hand. You walk around, you observe young players. You like to watch them. I'm telling you, every time I've seen him, whether it's on the bench, getting ready for a start, his demeanor looks the same.
Yes, it does. Very calm. You never see him get too high. You never see him get too low.
Well, this guy stepping in has a pretty good demeanor, and he has a pretty good power bat. Ryan Howard. Nice curveball from Brad.
A pretty good record he just set for the Philadelphia Phillies. 6 consecutive seasons, 30-plus home runs, and 100-plus RBIs.
That is consistency. Sounded like a foul tip.
34 home runs against the Marlins alone in his brief career.
He's had a career against the Marlins.
Exactly.
So quickly, Brad Hand ahead 0-2. Let's see how he works and what's he thinking about throwing to Ryan Howard. Another breaking ball. A little one-hopper. And over to first. Howard's gone, and so are the Phillies. So the Phillies do get a run, but Brad Hand comes back nicely. Go to the bottom of the first.
Noche por Coventry Healthcare de Florida.
All right, back here in the bottom of the first inning, let's take a look at the Marlins lineup for tonight against Roy Oswalt. Lineup brought to you by Warren Henry, Bonifacio, Infante, and Dobbs at the top third of the order. Big Mike Stanton, Logan Morrison, Jose Lopez starting at first base, Brian Peterson, John Buck, and Brad Hand filling out the lineup. 34-year-old right-hander Roy Oswalt goes to work, who the Marlins just saw last week in the one game they played in Philadelphia.
See the innings at 98, hits at 115. Kind of an odd number for Roy Oswalt. Not normally a guy that's going to give up more hits than innings pitched.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's had a couple of starts. One in San Francisco, 6 innings, gave up 12 hits. And the one against the Marlins where he gave up 12. That's a good start. Line shot. It's a great swing by Bonifacio. As soon as he gets it into that area, 2 bases for sure.
Yeah, if he gets anywhere past an outfielder, it's 3 bases for sure. But look at the swing that he takes here, right where he wanted it. I mean, he's calling that for the outside corner. Oswalt hits his spot. Bonnie puts a great swing on it. That is not an easy pitch to hit right there.
Well, Bonifacio coming off a 3-hit game last night in New York. So good to see him keep that stroke alive.
One of the great stories of the year, too, is the emergence of Emilio as an everyday player. I think he's always been considered kind of that super utility guy, move around the field. But I think he's proven to us and the baseball world that he belongs out there every day.
And I think the decision the Marlins have to make next year is where they want to plug him in every day. We talked about Polanco being an excellent number 2 hitter. This guy's not too bad either. Omar Infante has hit over 350 since the All-Star break.
Yeah, unfortunately had that finger injury, kind of a freak thing. He dove for the ball and ended up with a fracture of his throwing hand finger and missed some time on the DL. And he was the Marlins' hottest hitter at the time.
What a good job by Omar Infante. I think Carlos Ruiz was hoping that ball would trickle foul, and once he saw it was going to stay fair, he really tried a last-ditch effort play. Couldn't get Infante. He gets the base hit. He gets the job done. Bonifacio's at third.
Boy, talk about a perfect bunt. Like you said, I thought it was going to hit the cut of that grass and go into the foul territory. That's Omar's 5th bunt hit of the season. And we talked about Polanco being able to handle the bat and move a guy over. Omar's done an outstanding job of that as well.
I think it's important. Obviously, the Marlins are out of things. They're 4-9 against the Phillies this year. The Phillies are going to be in postseason. They have the best record in baseball. But I think it's important to play these weekend games hard. They have some tough matchups with Oswald, Hamels, and then Halladay. So a good start so far.
And Tommy, you know, this is the toughest part of the year as a player when you're playing on a team that basically has no chance of doing anything for the postseason. For the Marlins, this month of September is kind of an audition, I think, for some young guys for next year to prove some things and show that they belong on this team and in the big leagues. So there's got to be no letdown as far as effort is concerned.
Yeah, we probably played on more of those teams than more of the other type teams.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's usually the way it goes. Dobbs getting ready for a 1-1 pitch. Big slow curveball. Phillies could turn 2, and they do. That ball was hit well. Caught a little bit of the mound. I think that slowed it up. Utley was able to pick it and start the double play. No RBI for Greg Dobbs, but the Marlins tied.
Hey, you see, waits back and hits it a little bit off the end of the bat. But you saw it take a right turn right there off the mound, right to Chase Utley. Makes it an easy double play. And even though the Phillies have probably the best pitching staff in the league, they've got the best defense as well.
Yeah, you know, even with Jimmy Rollins on the disabled list, Wilson Valdez has done a nice job at short. He has a strong arm. And, of course, not too much gets by Utley on the other side. Mike Stanton ahead in the count now, 2-0. Mike had 6 base hits on the road trip. Kind of a weird road trip. 1 game in Philly, 5 games in 4 days in New York.
And the Marlins have had a ton of trouble as of late giving up first inning runs to the opponents. That's only the 7th first inning run that Roy Oswald's given up all year.
But all in all, a good response to the Phillies scoring in the top half. There's Charlie Manuel, 67-year-old Philly manager, 7th year as the manager of the Phillies. Had a couple of successful years managing the Cleveland Indians. Thinking about another World Series championship. Not too much for Mike to hit during that at bat.
We've got the Phillies defense lined up, given you by Warren Henry Automobiles. Mayberry, Victorino, Hunter Pence, the acquisition in right field. Polanco, Valdez, Utley, and Howard rounds out the infield. And Roy Oswald and Carlos Ruiz has done an outstanding job for the Philadelphia Phillies behind the plate.
Yeah, you talk about a ball club that's solid up the middle. Certainly they are. Ruiz starts it all behind the plate. Logan Morrison steps in, 2 men out, and Mike Stanton over at first base. Lomo 4 for 10 with a home run in his young career against Roy Oswald.
I thought took some good swings in that Mets series. Boy, that ballpark is a nightmare for a power hitter.
Well, you like that swing right there. And the Marlins keep it alive even after the double play. The walk to Stanton, now base hit by Logan Morrison.
As a hitter, though, Tommy, don't any swing that produces a hit, that's a good swing, correct?
Pretty good point.
What I liked about that is, I think Logan's been having a little bit of problem getting out, casting the bat a little bit. You see a lot of ground balls to first base, second base. Right there, he let the ball travel, came through with a flat bat, and even though he got jammed, it was good enough for a base hit.
Now here's a guy who has swung the bat as well as any Marlin over the last couple of weeks. And because of that, he finds himself in the lineup tonight. Jose Lopez, an aggressive hitter.
Gabby Sanchez getting the night off. Been struggling a little bit since the All-Star break. He's had flashes. He got a couple hits back-to-back nights up in New York. Last night went an 0-for, and Jack saw that he should get a night off tonight.
No doubt we'll see Gabby sometime in the game, and we'll also, while we have a chance, wish Gabby Sanchez a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Good fastball there by Oswalt. Not sure, and he took a little flack from this. Oswalt did after his start in Philadelphia in reading the papers up there. They were concerned with his velocity. And in his mind, he said 92, 94, what's the difference? And I think the key for him, he didn't have a good breaking ball up there.
Yeah, and it was probably not very good location either. And he's always been a pretty straight fastball pitcher, not a whole lot of movement on his ball. But when you're running up there 95, 96 with command, that's a pretty effective pitch. When you're running up there 92, that's pretty straight. Then and you make mistakes, it's going to get hit a little bit better. Here's our scouting report given you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida. Like we just said, live fastball, big slow curve. His arm speed in that curveball is so good. You think it's going to get to the plate more quickly than it does, and it just doesn't get there.
Was it tougher when he was throwing 96, 97?
Absolutely.
Than the big slow curve?
Absolutely, because the eye level that you saw with that fastball and that curveball was kind of on that same eye level, and boy, that thing would just not get to the plate.
That was something he talked about after his last outing, that he kind of went with a slider, threw a few too many sliders. He'll use everything. Change up, we've seen that already from Oswalt.
Which has changed. I mean, it used to be you're getting heaters at least the first time through the at bat, your first time through the lineup. He was pumping fastballs in there and establishing that thing, and then later on he would go to the curveball and that changeup. I don't think he ever threw a slider when I faced him.
23rd round of the Houston Astros back in 1996.
It's a pretty good use of a pick at 23rd round.
23rd round. There's the slow curveball. He gets Jose Lopez, but the Marlins get a run and got 3 hits off Oswalt in the first inning. We'll go to the second. It's a 1-1 tie. In high definition, brought to you by H.H. Gregg. And there's a look at Brad Hand, Tommy Hutton, along with Jeff Conine tonight. Hope you have an opportunity to check in and out with us occasionally. Looks like a nice weekend for Labor Day weekend. One of the best acquisitions, I think, when the trading deadline came upon us was the Phillies picking up Hunter Pence. And he is picked up right where he left off when he was with Houston. Takes ball one. In his 28 games as a Philly, 327, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs.
And I'm sure an instant fan favorite in Philadelphia. I got to play in Philly for the last month of 2006, and those fans, although can be brutal, they do appreciate effort, hustle, and showing that you care. And I don't think there's anyone that shows more of that than this guy.
Well, that's why another one of their fan favorites who was just let go by the Giants, Aaron Rowan, was that same way, and they loved him.
They loved Aaron Rowan, especially the famous catch where he made that catch over the shoulder catch in center field and slammed into the outfield wall and broke his nose and bloodied up. Philly fans love that guy.
Now these are the things that Brad Hand has to try to stay away from, and that's the walk. Walking the leadoff man, Hunter Pence, sets things up for John Mayberry Jr.
And that's what we were talking about earlier about being a consistent pitcher. You saw in the first inning he was very good in the strike zone. Mixed up his breaking ball, a couple change-ups, fastballs for strikes to come back out and kind of lose that feel, lose that release point to leadoff walk.
I always thought a guy like Brad Hand ought to sit back over the offseason with a whole bunch of DVDs of Jamie Moyer's starts and see how a guy who Brad actually throws harder than, but uses the changeup, a curveball. Good start there to get the strike into Mayberry.
I don't know. You might be a good tape to go to bed with. Jamie Moyer might put you to sleep watching some of that coming up to the plate.
They got Pence. Let's see if they can complete the rundown. Might have taken one too many throw to get the catcher involved, but John Buck puts the tag on Hunter Pence.
Good hustle by John Buck to get down to first base. Right there, you want when you come into, see a good move there by Brad Hand. Kids at home, you want to try to get this guy going as fast as you can to get that one throw. When you get him in there and he's kind of juking back and forth and you're throwing the ball back and forth, you need to get him out going to full speed. When you make that one throw, he's got no chance.
Yeah, there's nothing like that Little League rundown play.
Oh, that's the best play in baseball. It's a scorekeeper's nightmare, though.
And all of a sudden, after getting Pence at first base, ahead 0-2 to Mayberry.
And if you are scoring with us at home, it's a 1-3-4-2 putout of Hunter Pence.
It also gives the Phillies a little better idea of his move. This is his first appearance ever against Philadelphia.
I like what we've seen so far. You see a couple of the curveballs that Brad Hand has thrown, the two to Ryan Howard. He's getting quality major league hitters to take bad swings on balls out of the strike zone. That means it's a good pitch.
And then he comes in with a fastball to tie him up a little bit. Saw the call down at first base by Paul Schreiber. Behind the plate is Sam Holbrook. There's Schreiber at first base, Chad Fairchild, and the crew chief, Joe West, Country Joe West at third base.
John Mayberry Jr., the son of my first hitting coach in the big leagues, John Mayberry Sr.
So the good breaking ball, different type. We were talking about this the other night. Different types of players, the two Mayberrys.
Very much so.
Big John, John's dad, a big left-handed hitter, a first baseman. And John Jr., a fleet-footed right-handed hitting outfielder with some pop. This is a little bit low, 2-2. You hate to take this to 3-2. The fact that Brad Hand was able to get ahead 0-2 so quickly.
And we've seen so far with Brad Hand starts, his pitch counts get elevated so quickly because of the walks. He hasn't been able to go very deep into many games. Only twice going 6 or more innings.
You know, the disturbing part, and this is something I think if the Marlins look at things as an organization, you'd like to see that improve in the minor leagues. Even in the minor leagues, Brad Hand was averaging not even 6 innings per start. And a lot of that because the pitch count would get up a little too high. Here's the 3-2, again fouled off.
I think a lot of that is afraid to pitch to contact. They're afraid to let their defense work for them, and you got a pretty good defense behind you here. Let the ball put the ball in play and let them do their job. I think nowadays they try to get a little too fine with some of their pitches, and thus missing on a lot of them, walking guys, and their pitch counts get elevated very quickly.
Yeah, there's a good fastball, 89 miles an hour to strike out John Mayberry Jr.
You see with his fastball, it's not lighting up the radar gun. It's 89 miles an hour, but he's got good deception. He hides the ball well, especially on this angle here. They're picking it up late, which makes it seem like it's maybe in the low 90s, but it's only 89.
And that's the part of the game, once he gets that in his head, that he can be deceptive with that fastball, he can start to improve. There's Carlos Ruiz, the Phillies catcher. Lofts one down the right field line. Long run for Mike Stanton. But he's there to make the grab. A nice inning. All started with a walk, but a good pickoff move got him. Go to the bottom of the second, still a 1-1 tie. Cast brought to you by All Year Cooling. Temperature a nice comfortable 83 degrees. You know what, I always enjoy coming back and getting a little of that humidity.
Do you?
Yeah.
And then a couple days later you look forward to getting away from it.
All right, here we go in the bottom of the second inning. Brian Peterson, been a nice story. The way he's got an opportunity, the way he's carried over what he did in AAA this year.
Yeah, he got a little bit of time last year, and I think it was one of those situations where he felt that if he didn't perform right then, right now, that he'd be out of the lineup or back down to the minor league. So as a young player, when you've got that kind of pressure on you to perform, it's tough. It's very tough.
And he performs well there. So the Marlins have banged out 4 hits already off Roy Oswalt.
Petey's done some very good adjustments to his swing, I think, in spring training. I think he's a little too quiet with his hands. start to move those around a little bit more, and that gives you flexibility of going down to get a pitch like that. And it was actually a good pitch in a good spot. I don't think Roy Oswalt felt that was a mistake, and he made a really good piece of hitting on that.
And another guy, Brian Peterson, Niner, who's in a little audition period, I think, for next year.
Absolutely. This month is going to be very important for him.
Big swing by John Buck.
But the tools he's shown, I mean, I didn't realize how fast he was. Very, very fast. Got a great arm in the outfield. Left-handed bat, which I think will get better. So the tools in the making of a very good Major League player.
Another fastball by Oswalt. John Buck with 16 home runs on the year. Actually just 3 home runs away from CJ, Charles Johnson's franchise record of 19 as a catcher. You see where Oswalt's trying to work him. 3 fastballs, he's gone in every time.
Well, you've seen, I think they've got obviously spray charts on where John Buck has done most of his damage. Opposite field home runs have been very impressive for John Buck this year.
And again, so he's staying with the fastball. And there you go. A little confirmation on what you were just talking about.
Center right field, those balls are middle to middle away. And sure enough, Roy Oswalt looked at that piece of information. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to let him beat me away. I'm going to pound him in and see what he can do with it.
Peterson on the move, got a pretty good jump as Buck swings through the pitch. Now tries to take third on the throw that gets away. And the Phillies complete the play. It'll be a stolen base for Brian Peterson. No, maybe not. You know what? I think they've called interference on John Buck. And Peterson goes back to first base. Let's see if Buck interferes.
I don't see an interference.
I think the bat
might have hit him on
Ruiz. Yeah, because John looks back. Right there. It catches Ruiz on the back.
Isn't it? I thought that if it was interference, wasn't the runner automatically out?
That's what I think. The runner's out. But right now, home plate umpire Sam Holbrook is checking in with Joe West, the crew chief, on the actual call. It was strike 3. And if that, in fact, the runner is out, but that's not the case. Joe West says no. Brian Peterson goes back to first base. And there is one out. So Brad Hand, who has 1 base hit in his major league career, 1 for 11. Shows bunt, takes a strike. I think he offered it that one. And it's strike 2, 0-2. A little more chance for Double-A pitchers to hit coming up in the minor leagues. No attempt. 1-2. Boy, Roy Oswalt back in his prime when he was throwing 97, 98, back-to-back 20-win seasons, 04 and 05. Big curveball. Brad Hand can't get the bunt down, and he's out on strikes.
Not only is that slow curveball tough to hit, it's really tough to bunt as well.
There's an opportunity, Niner, I think, because you have speed on both ends. We saw Brian Peterson get a pretty good jump on that kind of disjointed play when John Buck was up. You would wonder if he would be stealing with 2 out here in this situation with Bonifacio up there.
And you saw Bonnie give him that fake bunt. You're taught to maybe give the runner at first base if he's a base stealer, give him a pitch or two to run. And you saw Bonnie kind of pull that bat back in the field of vision of the catcher to mess him up a little bit.
And this is an area where Bonifacio has greatly improved, that with 2 strikes, he's a more confident hitter now than he was the last few years.
Yeah, and what he's doing with the ball with those 2 strikes, we saw last couple of years a lot of pop-ups, a lot of fly balls. He's now able to put that ball on the ground and utilize that blazing speed.
One and two, 2 outs, 1-1 tie here in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
You'd like to see that 102 strikeout mark go down from your leadoff hitter and speed guy.
And there goes Peterson. Got another pretty good jump. But with 2 strikes, Bonifacio fouled the pitch off. Been a nice run. Mentioned last night, Bonifacio had 3 hits, 3 for 4, 3 RBIs, scored a couple of runs in the Marlins' 7-5 loss to the Mets up at Citi Field.
That first hit, the first inning tonight, 5-game hitting streak.
One hopper right to Ryan Howard. That'll do it for the Fish. After 2, Phillies 1, Marlins 1. One tie, we go to the 3rd. This is the inning, the Cleveland Clinic inning, where Jeff Conine and I talk about our past injuries.
Oh, boy. We might need a few innings for that.
And it'll be Wilson Valdez starting for the Phillies, top half of the 3rd.
We could probably fill a sizable rain delay talking about old injuries.
Don't talk about rain delays.
Come on, I just checked the radar. We're fine. Don't worry about it.
Good start. First pitch strike. You know, we talked about the Phillies and how well they've played against the Marlins in this ballpark. Last 26 games, the Phillies have gone 21-5 here. Always have a pretty good contingent of Philly fans in the house. Charlie Manuel trying to also guide his team. If they should win tonight, they would go to 42 games over 500. No Philly team has ever done that at any point of any season.
There's been some pretty good Philly teams as well.
0-2 fastball misses up and away.
Charlie Manuel, I played with the Phillies in 2006. And you see the Toyota trend there with the Philadelphia leading the season series 9-4. But Florida has squeaked out the last two.
Good off speed. So he got ahead, showed fastball, came back with off speed to get the strikeout.
But Charlie Manuel in 2006, they wanted to run him out of town. We had a kind of a disappointing season there in 06. They were expecting playoffs. Well, after that season, they wanted Charlie Manuel's head on a platter, and look what he's done since then.
A good way to start the third inning. Now Brad Hand gets to go after Roy Oswalt. Oswalt has 3 hits on the year. 3 for 25. Yeah, the only couple of times the Phillies were 41 games over 500 was back in 1976. And I can actually say I was a part of that group with Danny Ozark at the helm. And some pretty good players on that team, too. Again, getting ahead as Hand did to Valdez. He's ahead 1-2 to Oswalt.
And you can see by that last swing why Roy Oswalt only has 3 hits on the season.
I think the one thing, regardless of how things finish out for Hand, he has gotten valuable experience this year. He tied him up with a fastball, and there's out number 2. Hey, catch the fun of Baker Concrete Marlins Super Saturday on September 3rd. Hey, that's tomorrow. Featuring a post-game concert with Grammy Award winner Wycliffe Jean, funded by F. Dot. See your Marlins battle the Phillies at 7:10. And fans get a new ballpark calendar poster courtesy of Marooney. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Marlins baseball. Catch our moves.
Yeah, you speak of experience, and with the September call-ups and a young pitcher like Brad Hand due to injury during the season with the Marlins starting staff has gotten some invaluable experience. You know what to expect. You know how much better the hitters are up here, what the conditions are like, and that all gets processed. And hopefully in the offseason you process all that and you're ready for spring training to make the big league team.
And you would imagine that with Brad starting here tonight, he could get 3-4 more starts before the year ends.
Indeed, and that's just experience that's invaluable as far as assessing Brad Hand from the Marlins standpoint, and Brad Hand knowing what he's got to do in the offseason to get better.
Well, he had a nice season at Double-A, given the fact that he was kind of up and down a couple of times. But 11-4 for Jacksonville with a respectable 3.40 earned run average. There are those Jacksonville numbers. Hey, gets Victorino reaching a little bit. Should be handled by Brian Peterson. It is, and that'll do it for the Phillies in the third. Still a 1-1 tie. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. By the all-new Chevy Cruze, see your local Chevrolet dealer. And by El Dorado. Shop online. Visit ElDoradoFurniture.com. Niner, next year, we'll be able to see that skyline. Maybe not from that angle, but from the other side, from the TV booth.
How about that?
Omar Infante leads things off in the bottom of the third. Each team got a run in the first inning. Phillies got a triple from Victorino. He came in to score on Polanco's sacrifice fly. The Marlins got a leadoff double from Bonifacio, a bunt single from Infante. And then Bonifacio scored on Dobbs's double play ball.
Look at that big 12 out there on the game countdown. Only 12 home games left.
That's amazing.
Before, it just seemed like recently it was like 70, and now it's down to 12. Can't wait to get in that shiny new ballpark.
Get into single digits.
Single digits, yeah.
Get into single digits on this homestand.
Number 1 will be great.
Line drive off the bat of Infante. We've seen a lot of that the second half of the season. Cruising into second base with a leadoff double is Omar Infante.
I wonder if something might be troubling Oswalt there. You saw 4 fastballs by Oswalt to Omar. The fastest one was 90 miles an hour. This last one, 88 on a fastball.
Yeah, that's not Oswalt, and he's had some lower back issues. He's been on the disabled list, and it's been the lower back that's given him trouble. Well, let's see if the Marlins can capitalize on some lower velocity fastballs from Oswalt. Boy, good job. And you know why that's an exceptionally good job? Because you talked about earlier, it's the time of year, tough to win games. Hey, you try to help your numbers a little bit as a player. Greg Dobbs still trying to win games, moves the runner over with a ground ball to second.
You know what? That's a function, too, of when you're a hitter and you know you're struggling a little bit and you see a guy out there at second base. You think it might be tough to get a base hit. You're like, you know what? I'm going to help the team out, move this guy over so my teammate can help me out and try to score that run from third base.
Big slow curveball. Mike Stanton didn't see a whole lot to hit his first time up. He threw a walk. It always feels better when you're that hitter who hit the ground ball to get the runner to third. It always feels better if you score the run.
Exactly.
Just inside, another fastball. This one got up a little higher, up to 92.
Yeah, it was 92 there. Like you said earlier, I wouldn't suspect Mike Stanton to get much to hit. Didn't see anything to hit the first at bat. Not getting really anything this at bat. There's going to have that one guy in the lineup, and he's going to be it the rest of the way for the Marlins that you're not going to let beat you.
To me, this has been what is so impressive of Mike Stanton as a 21-year-old to hit in a lineup that doesn't have a lot of protection around him, especially this year, and to do what he's done.
I think it's also teaching him a lot of patience because of the way they're pitching him, because he is the only one in this lineup that really puts the fear of the long ball. And he's almost getting pitched like an 8-hole hitter with the pitcher hit behind you. He's not seeing a whole lot to hit. They're okay with walking him. He's okay with taking him, which is the best thing.
That's been good. 3-2 pitch. There's that big slow hook, and it's hammered by Mike, and it just goes foul. Wow. Not sure Roy Oswalt will come back with that same pitch.
I don't think so. That hanging, really slow curveball. See Stanton, look at the hands. He stays back with the hands and just foul. On about a 380-foot line drive.
Another 3-2. Now he goes with the fastball away. And again, Mike has a good swing to foul it back.
Look at the hands. Hands stayed back just a fraction of a second. And really nothing. No, that was a no-doubter as far as the foul ball.
Put the ball in play. A productive out. And the Marlins take a 2-1 lead. Good job, Greg Dobbs. Good job, Mike Stanton. Niner, what have you seen from day one to now in Mike Stanton improvement?
Well, I think the biggest improvement I've seen is the command of the strike zone. We saw him early in the season swinging at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone in the dirt, pitches that were not even hittable pitches, and now he's taking a lot of those and waiting for that meteor fastball to get in the strike zone.
Ball slices foul off the bat of Logan Morrison. So in a way, it's almost been good that he hasn't had a lot of protection and has seen a lot of balls out of the strike zone. It's been good for him.
I think so. It's really, he's really grown as a hitter in that way, because I think what everybody said early on, especially, is okay, we know he's going to hit home runs. The average was not very good early on, 230s. And the biggest improvement he needed to make is get a command of the strike zone. And if he started swinging at pitches in the strike zone, well, then he's going to take off, and we've seen that.
Boy, there's another guy that's put together some good swings lately. This ball into the right field corner. Lomo not stopping at second base. He's thinking 3, and he's got to get there. Logan Morrison with a 2-out triple, his 4th triple of the season. After slicing a ball down the left field line, turns on one, hits it into the right field corner.
Look at this nice smooth swing right here. Looks like a little slider or cutter in. It just looked like he just intentionally put the barrel on the ball. A nice easy swing. You saw that product of that good base running right there, picking up his third base coach, Joe Espada, as he's just about to hit second base. For you kids out there, that's basically the only ball that you will actually look for direction from a third base coach from going from first to third. Most everything else is going to be in front of you. You can make your own decision, but that one being behind you, you lose sight of it.
Then you got to pick him up before you get to the bag. Up the middle, a ground ball. There's Valdez, picks it, and just gets Jose Lopez. But the Marlins get a run, a double, a triple, a ground ball RBI, and take the lead as we go to the 4th inning.
the importance of the young pitcher Brad Hand, especially going against the veteran Roy Oswalt, of getting ahead in the count and commanding the strike zones. Well, take a look at this, and no surprise with the Phillies pitching staff, 61.3% of the time they throw a first pitch strike. The Marlins are up there in the top 5 in the National League at 60%. Now, after it's 0-1, Philly pitchers holding batters to a 228 average. Marlin pitchers, and again, this underlines the importance of getting ahead, 221 opponents batting average. That Atlanta pitching staff, guys, after it's 0-1, holding opponents to a 203 batting average as Brad Hand throws a first pitch strike. Tommy and Niner?
What a great segue with the first pitch strike. Placido Polanco hit that sac fly for the Phillies in the first inning to give them their only run. I think one of the keys, and again we've seen this, the first pitch strike important, put that hitter away. The Marlins pitchers, the starters at times, have had trouble putting an inning away.
Yeah.
Fouled off, 1-2.
You like the tough pitchers. You see 9 of 11 first pitch strikes from Brad Hand, which is excellent so far from the young lefty.
And the Marlins have had opportunities to get out of innings. And that's when we've seen innings kind of implode.
The good pitchers, and you'll see some of them this weekend on the Phillies side. Josh Johnson's very good at this. You call damage control. You get runners on, and those guys are able to make pitches and get out of those innings with little or no damage, as we call it, which are runs scored. And then other pitchers, I think, panic in that situation, lose their confidence, and those innings end up blowing up. And they get a crooked number put up there, like Tony Perez likes to say.
And it's something you really can't teach. It's something that's more learned with the experience. I think the other thing, you have a guy like Polanco. As a pitcher, you need to get in your head, I'm not going to strike him out. He's going to make contact because he doesn't strike out much. So you just have to try to make that good pitch, get him to roll over or hit a little weak pop fly.
Good pitch. Doesn't have to be a perfect pitch, because like you said, you're not going to strike him out. Just try to let him put it into play weakly somewhere that your defense can take over.
Just like that. Got the fastball in on him.
Another good segue.
John Buck will handle that, and there's one out. Hey, flip the phone, Niner. Flip the phone. Ready for our AT&T trivia question?
It's like 80s, wasn't it? Flip phones.
Yeah, AT&T trivia question. The Phillies are on pace for their 4th straight 90-win season. What's the club record for wins?
I'm gonna go with 96.
No, I know that's wrong.
Oh, because you played on that team.
I know. Now, I'm not going to give things away because people always complain when I give things away. Chase Utley and a first pitch strike.
You got local knowledge, though.
But I know for a fact that in 76 and 77, they had back-to-back 100-win seasons. I forget if it was 100 or 101 or 102.
So you just gave something away that's not the record.
But I don't know the exact number.
But I think that the 75 team, correct?
76, 77. Team that was beaten by the Big Red Machine in the playoffs in 76. And in 77 lost to the Dodgers in the championship series. Big breaking ball stays up high, and it's 2-1 now to Chase Utley. Utley 0 for 1. And a fly ball to center field his first time up.
I'm going to go with 101.
All right. See, now you've just given something away. Yeah, good pitch. Strike 2, 2-2. You know, if you look at the 2 games that Brad Hand has pitched well, He had his major league debut against Atlanta. 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. And unfortunately got the loss in that game, 1-0. Pitched 7 very good innings against the Houston Astros. Gave up 2 hits and no runs. And that was his first and only major league win. So he has had flashes where he's pitched well. In on the hands, and Utley fouls it off. 3-2 the count remains. Utley, one of the few Phillies that didn't have a great series in Cincinnati. Told you the Phillies swept that series against Dusty Baker's Reds. But Utley just 3 for 18 in that series. But boy, has he hit the Marlins over his career. That's the thing. You have guys back to back in Utley and Howard who have put up big numbers against the Marlins. Nicely done. Good fastball. Got ahead. Was able to put him away. And they're 2 down here in the 4th inning.
I will say the Marlins aren't the only team that those 2 guys have done some damage against.
Yeah.
But you see here, perfect pitch in the outside corner. John Buck calls for that low and away fastball. Brad Hand hits his spot. And majority of the time when a pitcher hits his spot, you are not going to get a hit.
You know, you make a good point. It's probably the same way with Chipper Jones. He's put up big numbers against other teams, too.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like it could be any bigger than what he's done against the Marlins. I know the 100 or so games I played against the Atlanta Braves, he was the one that had the game on the line late in the game and came through quite often for them.
Read an article as Howard just takes a breaking ball low about the Hall of Fame third baseman. Eddie Matthews, Mike Schmidt, George Brett, Brooks Robinson, and how Chipper Jones's numbers stack up to those guys. There's a nice inning for Brad Hand, getting the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. It's a 2-1 Marlin lead. To 1 score as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. And there's Charlie Manuel. Let's flip the phone for AT&T trivia question. The Phillies are on pace for their 4th straight 90-win season. What's the club record for wins? Jeff Conine said 101.
Tied 76 and 77.
76 and 77. The disappointing part of those years is that the ball club lost in the championship series to the Reds and then to the Dodgers. And that'll bring up Brian Peterson as we get ready to go here in the bottom half of the 4th. Peterson with a base hit, his first time up, hit a ball well, stroked it nicely into right field. It's another thing I think I've noticed in Brian Peterson, much more patient, more willing to go up, take that first pitch strike. get himself in a comfortable situation, and more often than not gets himself in a nice hitting situation.
Yeah, you haven't seen him really fish for too many balls out of the strike zone. His pitch recognition has been excellent.
Now he's got to grind a little with the count 1-2. Yeah, we were talking about Chipper Jones. Hit his 451st home run last night. Count stays 1-2 to Petey.
About 140 of those against the Marlins, it seems.
But I think it's important for the Braves, for Chipper to stay healthy, for Brian McCann to continue. Then they have a couple of pitching issues with Jurgens and Hansen. Jurgens has a sore knee. Tommy Hansen a sore shoulder. I think they need to have those guys healthy if they expect to move beyond Philadelphia.
I'll tell you what, with the issues they've had, a few of the issues in their starting rotation injury-wise, they're tied for 5th with the best record in baseball with 81 wins right now. 81-55. They've done a pretty amazing job, especially with the lack of offense they've kind of put up this year. They haven't really had a very potent offense.
Oswalt climbs the ladder that time with a fastball to get Brian Peterson. Roy Oswalt, that is strikeout number 4 for him on the night. Marlins got a run in the first. Came in on a ground ball double play. They got a run in the third on an RBI ground out off the bat of Mike Stanton. So they've played. The Marlins have some very good little ball tonight. They've done some of those things correctly. Some of the things that we did not see in a very sloppy game last night.
Yeah, that was kind of a sloppy game. And Jack has preached to this team about small ball and being able to play for that one run, especially when you're going against a tough pitcher. And the Marlins offense has been erratic this year and not scoring a whole lot of runs. So Jack's philosophy is let's play for one every inning.
Big swing by the Marlins catcher, and it's 1-2. Roy Oswalt has had a consistent and successful long career. He's had 13 or more wins 8 of 10 years. And now he shows a little of that fastball, goes upstairs. So a couple of strikeouts this inning. He's gone up with fastballs. 2 down.
That fastball, although does not rise, and with the way he gets down in his arm angle, almost looks like it's coming up at you, especially when he elevates it there. That's a really hard pitch to get on top of.
So he has a chance, Oswalt, to have himself an easy inning. He works to Brad Hand, who he struck out back in the second inning. Brad was trying to bunt during that at bat. And just as I say that, he's fallen behind 2-0.
Oswalt, 150 wins in his career with a 3.18 career ERA.
There was even some talk when we were in Philadelphia, because of his issues with the lower back, depending on how this season goes for him, how he feels after the year, that he could retire and head back to that farm in Ware, Mississippi.
Where?
Where?
No, where?
W-E-I-R.
Oh. Just turned 34 years old a couple days ago.
You have the feeling a guy like Oswalt would feel nice and comfortable in doing that. A lot of guys hate to get away from the limelight, and I don't think he'd have a problem.
I really don't either. A
sharply hit 2-hopper, but Polanco with those gold glove hands makes the play, and Oswalt does have a 1-2-3 inning. So we played 4 innings at Sun Life Stadium. Marlins 2, Phillies 1. There's a look at the NL East standings, and you know, right now things are going smoothly. If you talk to Charlie Manuel, though, he never gives you that, yeah, it's nice and easy, it's going to be a good road. He always is thinking, he's always realizing that the Atlanta Braves are there. He knows that the Milwaukee Brewers are playing well, and he can tell you everything you'd want to know about the Arizona Diamondbacks, too.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that doesn't want to get too happy. Doesn't want his team to get too happy. Wants to keep them hungry. Keep pushing right to the very end.
Hunter Pence leads things off in the 5th inning and chases a changeup. He walked in the 2nd and then was picked off. Marlins pulled the rundown play, 1-3-4-2, and that really helped in that 2nd inning. You and I were talking, Niner, one of the strangest looking approaches Hunter Pence has to hitting.
He's kind of got a lot of strange things going on in his game. But you look at this, I don't even know where you would come up with this on-deck swing.
It's probably not something you would teach to kids.
No, I wouldn't teach this to my son, but you see what, I mean, I don't know if that's half golf swing, if he's maybe top spin in tennis or cricket maybe.
Yeah, he stops it. He goes about, it's about a 3/4 swing.
But you know what? It works for Hunter Pence, obviously, very well.
Job by Bonifacio to get to that, but the throw a little high pulls Lopez off the bag, and it's going to be a tough error for Bonifacio. Would have taken an above average play, but I think if the throw's there, he has it.
Yeah, I agree. You see Hunter Pence gets it off the end of the bat, probably broke his bat, ball's almost outside. Bonnie gets, you see it just gets his arm gets underneath there, the ball takes off high, and Lopez couldn't quite come down and tag him.
Good call by the first base ump, Paul Schreiber. Now remember, when Pence was picked off, he was going. He was actually going. So Hand has to keep an eye on him.
See if he learned anything from that pickoff move that Brad Hand got him with in the last time up.
That's right. They always tell you to take a little bigger lead, a one-way lead, maybe so you can check on that pitcher's move. I think Pence took it a little too far at that time.
Yeah.
0-1 to Mayberry.
Some pitchers have tells. They'll do a little something differently when they come over to first base. Left-handed pitchers, one might look home and then come to first on a consistent basis. They might turn their head 2 or 3 times, and that 3rd time they go home, and they don't even know they're doing it. They don't even know that they're telling the first baseman or the first base runner or the first base coach. But there's scouts out there that pick up on all this stuff.
Hopefully, if your first baseman can see you doing something like that, he can let you know. Maybe somebody from your bench. 0-2 pitch to Mayberry, lofted deep to left field. He got a curveball, and he got it all. John Mayberry Jr. has just put the Phillies ahead with a 2-run shot.
Mistakes we've seen him make with that curveball tonight, up and out over the strike zone. And like you said, Tommy, he got a good piece of wood on that ball.
As I say, he got every bit of that one. Dad would be proud at that shot. He has done a terrific job for the Phillies, giving him a right-handed bat. He's been in a platoon situation now with Ibanez, and he started all 3 outfield spots.
And he's done very well against the Marlins. He's 5 for 13 with 3 homers and 5 RBIs.
Carlos Ruiz, the hitter. And of course, the inning started with the error from Bonifacio. So the Phillies getting just their 2nd hit off Brad Hand, but it was a big one. It was a changeup hammered past Dobbs. And Ruiz will have himself at least one. And that's all he's going to get because Logan Morrison got it in quickly.
That's the one thing we talked about earlier in the game about Brad Hand. You know, the walks and the home runs were the most concerning thing, and sure enough, a home run beats him.
Change up, but if that changeup stays up just a little bit, a hitter can get to it better. And this ball was struck sharply by Ruiz, just out of the reach of Greg Dobbs.
Logan Morrison, excellent job of getting over to that ball. Good strong throw into second base to keep him at first.
Have you seen him improve in left field as a defender?
I have, and you know, it's he's been going in spurts. I think we saw last time he was up a few different plays that he should have made that weren't. And he will tell you he should have made those plays. But you know what? He was working hard when he went down to AAA. I just happened to be going down to AAA, and we worked early work with Tarek Brock, our outfield instructor, minor league outfield instructor. And work ethic is never going to be a problem with Logan Morrison. He's going to work hard every time he goes out on that baseball field.
That's always good to hear from any young player. There's Wilson Valdez. This is that situation, one of those situations we kind of talked about earlier, where the Marlins, as far as their starters, it's tough to ask this of a 21-year-old, but this is where you need to stop it right now. You need to stop the Phillies from putting together a real big inning.
Yeah, you see some of the quality pitches he's making earlier are now starting to be elevated. That was an elevated fastball. The changeup that Ruiz hit was up. The home run that Mayberry hit was up, where earlier in the game those pitches were down. That's where you need to make your adjustment here. He's not getting tired. He's only got 70 pitches, so he needs to find that release point and get back in the strike zone.
Boy, this ball hit well by Valdez, and another pitch that was up. This is going to chase Ruiz to third. He's going to be held there by Juan Samuel, the third base coach. And Wilson Valdez with a stinging double into left center. And all of a sudden, the Phillies have put together a home run, a single, and a double. 3 consecutive hitters. And Brad Hand had himself an opportunity, given the fact that he was working to the bottom part of the order. But Valdez just drilled that ball into left center. Infield will play in with nobody out. The pitcher up there, Roy Oswalt. This would not be a situation you'd look for a squeeze. Because right now Charlie Manuel's thinking big inning.
And with the infield in, a little squibber up the middle, jam shot, can get through the right side. A lot of stuff can happen.
This is a situation when you do get ahead, if you can make that quality pitch, you'd love to go for the strikeout. Counts 1-1 to Oswalt. And with nobody out, I would doubt Ruiz is going on contact either. Especially with the top of the order coming up after Oswalt. Phillies have taken the lead with a 2-run homer off the bat of John Mayberry Jr. here in the 5th inning. Fastball by Oswalt. Now he has that opportunity to get the strikeout and keep the runners at second and third. Up and away, 3-2 now to Oswalt.
And you see, not only is the balls that have gotten hit hard this inning have been mistakes in the strike zone, he's making some mistakes well out of the strike zone too.
Now he has to throw a strike to Oswalt. 3-2 pitch. And Oswalt does him a favor. Up and away, would have been ball 4. Oswalt strikes out. That'll be back to the top of the order.
Yeah, you see John Buck sets up almost inside on this pitch. Ball ends up and away. And Roy Oswalt, a big sigh of relief from Brad Hand. I'm sure when he left that pitch left his hand, he wasn't too excited, but you saw him swing through that one. Then you wonder what is happening with Brad Hand. You see a lot of the pitches now going out of the strike zone. He's starting to, it looks like, alter his delivery a little bit. I think he might be tiring. And when that happens, you just can't put your pitches where you want them to go.
Well, it goes back to the theory. I think it's more than a theory when you just see numbers. When you have pitchers coming up from the minor leagues and they're going 5 and 6 innings, you can't expect them to go more when they get here. There's going to be more stress on their arms up here. Tough hitter now, and Shane Victorino. He takes ball 1. Victorino tripled and scored a run in the first inning. Flied out to center field in the third. Victorino, with his triple, is giving Jose Reyes a run for his money. Reyes, as we pointed out in New York, has 16 triples but hasn't hit one since mid-July. Victorino now has 15.
Reyes battling all those leg problems that have plagued him over the last couple of years. I'm sure not pushing it quite to the limit that he was earlier in the year.
Of course, Reyes plays in a home ballpark that's more conducive to triples than Citizens Bank Park. A lot of pitches missing in the same area, and Brad Hand could not throw a strike to Victorino.
Quickly, that pitch count is escalating. Start of this inning, it was a pretty manageable number for the 5th inning. Already at 24 with only 1 out so far this inning.
There's Hatcher loosening. He should be ready. He's been up a little bit. But after Polanco, you have 2 left-handed hitters in Utley and Howard. Just misses with a fastball. And again, to point out, Polanco's a guy who's going to put the ball in play.
Foxtrack had that one as a strike, bottom of the strike zone there. And I'll tell you what, when you're a rookie pitcher and you're out there and you're all over the place, those umpires don't tend to give you those close pitches like they would if you're there all the time.
Foul back. So he made a couple of good pitches. The last 2 pitches to Polanco. Marlins have held him in check this year. Out of Miami-Dade Community College, Placido Polanco. Into center field, medium. This will be interesting. Ruiz the runner, strong throw by Peterson. Tag is there. Oh, what a double play. What a throw by Brian Peterson. On the money. Good tag by John Buck. Brad Hand gets out of the inning. Phillies take the lead, but it had a good ending. Beautifully done. If you don't feel like a sub right now, I do. You could also go for our checkers double play of the game on a great throw by Brian Peterson.
Outstanding throw. You see he gets set up, gets his body behind it. You know he doesn't have a terribly fast runner, so you want to put a lot on it. And another great play by John Buck right here. What a great play on the short hop with a big catcher's glove. That is not an easy play to make. Look at that short hop, just like a first baseman, secures the ball, makes a good tag, and just gets him before the hand comes down. Nice call.
Well, that's a great job on both ends. All three involved. Great job by Brian Peterson, John Buck, and the home plate umpire Sam Holbrook, who was right there. Got a good close look. Phillies did take the lead with their 2 runs, so the Marlins coming to bat here in the bottom half, trailing 3-2. Back to the top of the order. Bonifacio 1 for 2 tonight. Doubled, scored a run in the first inning. Bonnie with a 5-game hitting streak. And he's been able to keep that on-base percentage up. He's over 360.
Walks. I mean, that's something we didn't see from Bonifacio last year at all. And now he's being able to take a pitch just like that one there, that last pitch, and foul it off instead of swinging and missing to keep the bat alive.
How many times over the last couple of years did we see pitchers just keep climbing the ladder, swing and miss, and they'd finally get him?
Yeah, he was just like that one right there. He was swinging through that pitch, and it's almost an impossible pitch, regardless of who you are, to get on top of and put it in play the right way. And you know, his game is on the ground.
A little bloop into left field, but Mayberry's there, and that'll do it for out number 1. Catch the fun of the Marlins Family Sunday on September 4th. See your Marlins battle the Phillies for the final time this season at 1:10. Plus, kids get an Emilio Bonifacio t-shirt. It's well timed with Bonifacio just making the out. Courtesy of Majestic Athletic. You can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to Marlins.com. Marlins Baseball. Of course, the Marlins will be done with the Phillies here, but they'll make a stop, a one-day stop in Philadelphia for a split doubleheader.
Courtesy of Irene.
That'll take place on September 15th on our way from Atlanta to Washington.
And you start off in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah.
That trip will go by really quickly. It'll be like nothing.
I'd forgotten that Pittsburgh was still in the league. 2-2 to Omar Infante, who's had a nice night. He's hit in 10 of his last 11 games. He's 2 for 2 tonight. Big curveball. He chases. Doesn't strike out too often, but Roy Oswalt gets strikeout number 6.
There's that big, slow curveball we were talking about. Excellent arm speed is really what sells this thing. You think it's going to come in a lot faster than it does. You think you got a good read on it. You start your swing, and it's not quite there yet.
There are the 6 strikeouts for Oswalt. Always kind of special, I think, for Greg Dobbs. He spent a few years, some good years, as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies, a member of their World Championship team.
See Oswalt really dialing in his pitches right now. He's throwing everything for strikes on the corners, fastballs in. Been thrown in a lot tonight, though.
Yeah, he has
hitters.
a little better. He has a little better command, I think, tonight than he did in that game in Philadelphia. That was the one game the Marlins played on a Friday after spending Thursday there, leaving town here early to avoid Hurricane Irene, and actually ran into Irene. After working all those pitches in, he just missed away with a fastball.
Good job of fighting off a nasty changeup there.
Oswalt has pretty good pace now, too. He's in one of those grooves.
That's when you'll see some of the more veteran, smarter hitters will back out, call time, try to get him out of that nice rhythmic pace he's got working to pound in the strike zone.
And again, and misses. It's amazing to think, when you think of the Philly rotation and them going into postseason, that Oswalt would be number 4. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, they have Vance Worley, who's 10-1.
The depth chart on that pitching staff is pretty remarkable.
Boy, there's a nice stroke. Just foul. I mean, Vance Worley won his 10th game. Went 6 innings against the Reds yesterday. He's 10-1 with a 2.85 ERA. So you've got Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels. Then you have to flip a coin. Oswalt, Vance Worley. And that's if you're even going to use 4 starters.
Some guys go with a 3, or some teams go with a 3-man rotation. Vance Worley, a rookie this year, going to be well discussed about Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah, he's gotten into the picture. Lazy fly ball to left. That'll do it for Greg Dobbs. That'll do it for the Marlins in the 5th. We've played 5 at Sun Life Stadium. Phillies have a 3-2 lead. Now it's time for the Keep Your Edge Spotlight, brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Frank.
Thanks, Tommy. A lot of speculation, a lot of conversation. In fact, we had a big discussion on our last email Tuesday about who will the Marlins manager be next year. Well, apparently, a writer from Sports Illustrated tweeted today that it definitely would not be Jack McKeon. When he was asked about that in his media session today, McKeon said, I haven't had any real substantive discussions with the front office yet as to what my role will be next year, although he did drop this hint. He said, I pretty much have my mind made up what I want to do. Now, you could guess that the Marlins going into a new ballpark would want to hire a different manager perhaps and put Jack back in his role as special advisor to the owner, Jeffrey Loria. But Jack said, I want to sit down with the front office, see what they want me to do, what I think I want to do. That decision has not been made by any stretch of the imagination, at least according to Jack and what he told the media this afternoon. Tommy?
All right, thanks, Frank. And I think when you think about all the decisions the ball club's going to have to make, with Utley reaching base, being hit by a pitch, the first decision I would think would be to get the manager in place, whoever that might be.
Absolutely, because if there is going to be a managerial change, most often they bring in their own staff or have suggestions on what staff they would like to bring in, and you want that solidified before you go out and start looking for free agents or making changes to your team.
Utley hit for the 11th time this year as Brad Hand works to Ryan Howard. And I came across a stat, just looking at some of the numbers on Ryan Howard, which I think tells a lot, because so many people think because of where he plays, he hits all the home runs. Ryan Howard, in his career, has hit 139 home runs at home and 144 home runs on the road. So he's hitting them everywhere.
That's big power.
He's hitting them everywhere.
That's big power.
And how many did you say against the Fish?
34 homers just against the Fish.
34 against the Marlins.
You see those splits, very, very impressive, consistently. 272 away, 278 at home. Home runs almost identical. Those are not Coors Field numbers right there.
No, they're not. He's been on a little bit of a tear, too. 12 home runs over his last 33 games.
When I first got to the Phillies in 06, I think the first 10 games I was with the team, he had 11 home runs.
Big pitch here, 3-1. And it just misses, so all of a sudden the Phillies, to start the sixth, have runners at first and second, nobody out. And that's going to be all for Brad Hand. I think he was in there to pitch to a couple of the lefties. Now it's going to be Chris Hatcher. And we'll be right back with our Marooney call of the bullpen.
Who you gonna call? Marooney!
Hit Chase Utley, walked Ryan Howard, and has given way to the right-hander Chris Hatcher.
Hard throwing right-hander. I was listening to the Mets broadcast last night, and they said Hatcher the catcher is now on the mound, being called up last September as a catcher for the Florida Marlins. Comes back, and first time since I believe the early 1900s that someone ended the season as a catcher and got called up the next season as a pitcher.
Yeah, the amazing thing is that when he started his career as a pitcher, he started in Double-A, and this year was in Jacksonville and had an ERA of 1.90 in 42 games, 57 strikeouts, and 19 walks. Still working on a secondary pitch or two. We know he has the hard fastball, still working on a changeup and a slider.
And obviously, as a catcher, had one of the better arms you'll see or would have seen, and the bat was not quite there, so they decided to make the pitching change or change to a pitcher and not waste an arm like he had throwing. He was throwing rockets down to second base.
Starts Hunter Pence off with that slider. This is a situation you have to keep your eye on Utley at second base.
He will steal.
He will. He's always picks his spots. He's very successful. He's 10 out of 10 this year. Make that 13 out of 13. Good fastball into Hunter Pence. Take a look at tonight's leaders of the game, presented by JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, price made U.S. #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how.
Look at the spread there. The Cardinals 292 in men in scoring position. I guess that's why they're leading the National League in runs scored.
Good point. Kind of an interesting series for them. They got buried so badly by the Brewers, yet they just finished a 3-game sweep of Milwaukee, but they're still 7.5 games out.
Milwaukee was, what, 22-3 or 22-4 at one point? Went on a remarkable tear and just distanced themselves from the Cardinals.
Breaking ball gets away from Buck. Both runners advance on the wild pitch thrown by Chris Hatcher.
And with the way the Atlanta Braves have been playing, second place isn't good enough for a wild card. You got to win that division to make it to the playoffs.
And wouldn't you know, the Cardinals are hosting Cincinnati tonight, who just was swept by the Phillies, and the Reds have a 5-1 lead in the second inning. A difficult situation got tougher for Chris Hatcher. Good fastball. 3-2's the count. You knew Pence was going to see a fastball too.
And you knew it was going to be a violent swing.
So he's ready for fastball, has that fastball swing, and just tipped it.
Hunter Pence doesn't do things textbook pretty, that's for sure, as far as running mechanics, throwing mechanics, swing mechanics, but remarkably effective in all those areas.
Yeah, you hear people talk about guys, and it's usually a left-handed batter. He has that smooth, sweet left-handed swing. They're not going to say that about Hunter Pence.
No. They're usually going to say, as I do, is like, oh my God, my back would really hurt if I swung like that.
Another 3-2 pitch. Another fastball. This one just misses. Bases are full of Phillies with nobody out. Well, here's our Coors Light Gold Hard Blast. It was a hanging curveball from Brad Hand. Don Mayberry Jr. with his 13th home run of the year. And that was a 2-run shot, and it put the Phillies ahead 3-2. The Marlins were leading 2-1.
That was a nice one.
I think he's gotten himself in a little better groove with his game and with his swing, given the fact that he's had more playing time this year.
I was just going to say, with consistent at-bats, players, it's hard. This game is really hard as an everyday player to make contact and get your timing right, but when you're only playing once or twice a week, it's even more difficult.
Two 2-0 now to Mayberry Jr. Now, you were here, Niner, when the guy that I always say, Sandy Rosario, getting loose, say that Chris Harvey looks like.
Yeah, Brian Harvey.
So Chris Hatcher has that mustache that Brian Harvey looked. And I think this is a trip now by Randy St. Clair to give Rosario a little time to get loose.
Yeah, he's got that. Brian had that signature Fu Manchu mustache, and to this day, still one of the better closer seasons I've ever seen. Was that inaugural year that he had with us, saved, I think it was 47 games. We only won 64.
That's incredible. Hey, by the way, wait just a second. We never got a chance to tell you, and I'm sure you've heard it by now, when he was on with us in San Diego, the great words that Trevor Hoffman had to give your way. He had a lot of nice compliments toward you.
Well, that's very nice. I enjoyed the short time that we played with each other, and the battles we did over the years. One of the true greats of the game, for sure.
This ball hit in the air. It's not going to go out of the ballpark. It's going to get a run in. It'll be a sac fly from Don Mayberry Jr. with Chase Utley coming in to score. Remember, Utley started the inning, was hit by a pitch. 136th time that Utley's been hit by a pitch in his career. So the Phillies pick up another run, and they lead 4-2. Now you get in that situation with one down. You have a right-handed hitter up there who doesn't run that well. Get a chance to get a ground ball, get a double play, get out of the inning. Minimize the damage.
Minimize the damage. I think if the Marlins could get out of this with only one run scored, they would deem that a success.
I think we could have that as a slogan. You know, you come up with a slogan. Marlins baseball. Minimize the damage. This one skips away from Buck, and Ryan Howard scampers over to third, and Pence gets on to second. So a couple of wild pitches have hurt this inning tremendously. Now all of a sudden you take away that double play possibility.
You're talking about Hatcher's developing that secondary pitch. You see the lack of feel for the slider he's had so far. But with the fastball that he's got, I think when he really finds the feel on that, boy, slider's going to be outstanding. It's got a good break to it.
And now the Marlins are going to put Ruiz on. You got the number 8 hitter Valdez, but Valdez doubled his last time up. Got him coming up next. No activity in the Philly bullpen. So Roy Oswalt is after Valdez, even though it just looks like the Philly phone was ringing down there in the bullpen. So there is ball 4 to Ruiz. So it does look like Charlie Manuel's getting activity in his bullpen. Oswalt's at 95 pitches. Michael Stutes gets himself ready. Again, a key situation to try to get out of this inning without allowing any more runs. Infield's a double play depth. Good heat from Hatcher.
He's kind of got that short arm infield or catcher type motion.
Hard to pick up.
Hard to pick up. See, that arm doesn't drop down a whole lot. He keeps it kind of arm bent and doesn't have a whole lot of arm action on the backside of his body, so it almost looks like it's going faster than it really is.
I give John Buck credit for trying to get that slider over the plate. Howard's at third, Pence is at second, and there's Carlos Ruiz. Chooch is over at first.
You know, one of the biggest short arming motions I ever experienced, which I was very surprised with, was Nolan Ryan. I faced Nolan Ryan one time in Texas, Old Texas Stadium, and I couldn't believe how short his arm action was.
Another good fastball. This one catches the outside part of the plate. 1-2 now to Valdez.
He was still throwing 95. I think he was 42 or 43 years old. He's still throwing 95 miles an hour. Couldn't believe it.
I think when I faced him, he was in his 30s. They didn't have radar guns, but you knew it was 95.
That was a changeup, wasn't it?
Got him with another good fastball. So 3 good fastballs to dispose of Wilson Valdez. Second out of the inning. Bases remain loaded. And it is going to be Roy Oswalt. That may have been a little bit of a decoy. Just to get Jack thinking maybe they're going to pinch hit. Good fastball.
Charlie Manuel's one of those managers that has confidence in his starting staff. I mean, why wouldn't you with the starting staff that you have? But to let them go, I think a lot of managers would pull him. 95 pitches, getting up there and coming off the DL recently. Let's get him out of the game and preserve that lead. But he likes to let his guys go, and I'm sure that he asked Roy Oswalt how he felt. He goes, I'm good. Let me go out there.
Yeah, and I think Oswalt actually has thrown the ball better the last 2 or 3 innings. Now you've got to throw strikes to him. Counts 1-1 after that big swing.
This is what we do, folks, when we get bored on the bench.
When you're a veteran like Javier Vasquez.
Dismantle a baseball. What's inside that thing?
You got more than 2,500 career strikeouts. 1-1, another good fastball. All of a sudden now Chris Hatcher's gotten himself in a good little groove. So you got the feeling that John Buck's going to kind of put that slider away for now, especially with bases loaded and the pitcher up there, and just say, Chris Hatcher, give me that heat again.
There will be no slider necessary the rest of this at bat.
Yeah. Good job by Chris Hatcher to get out of this situation. The Phillies do get a run and lead 4-2 going to the bottom of the 6th. Hey, welcome back to the Coors Light 6th inning. Now it's time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Oh, freeze it. Did he get him?
Look at that.
Yeah, he did. That was the Frost Brewed Coors Light Freeze Cam. That's a fun play to watch.
I don't think there's really many more exciting plays than a throw out at home plate.
Well, the final line on Brad Hand in his 5 innings, he gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and the one big blast that hurt, that 2-run shot off the bat of John Mayberry Jr.
Interesting to see if interview after the game with Brad Hand, if they felt he was getting tired, because you saw the last 2 innings of his stint tonight. Boy, that ball was all over the place. Ended up hitting Chase Utley to start off the inning.
Well, a broken bat, a shattered bat, and a little looping liner. Mike Stanton is gone. Yeah, Mike Stanton came into this game with his 31 home runs, tied for second in the National League, tied with Matt Kemp of the Dodgers. Pujols with a huge day yesterday, has 34.
Yeah, wasn't he tied briefly?
Pujols, Kemp, and Stanton were all tied.
I think King Albert said, enough of this. I'm going to distance myself from the rookie.
Yeah, King Albert hit a grand slam, hit another home run, had 5 RBIs and a 4-for-4 day. Good night so far for Logan Morrison. He singled in the first inning, singled to left field, and tripled down to the right field corner back in the 3rd inning. 23 doubles on the year, 4 triples.
What I've liked really from Logan tonight is, we talked about, he's really a left center type hitter. That's where his power's been. It's always been to left center field, and he's been kind of casting that barrel head out and rolling over a lot of balls to the right side of the infield. Tonight, saw him let the ball travel a little bit on that first hit he got. He got jammed a little bit, but it was a nice hit to the opposite field. And then what a great swing on that inside pitch slider cutter thing that he threw earlier and on the triple.
He had a good line the other day to Eduardo Perez. They're talking about hitting. And just to show you, Lomo 23, he's young, but he still figured things out. He said to Eduardo, he said, when did I become a pull hitter? He said, I'm not.
Exactly. And that's just it. As long as, he's played, which isn't very long, but you still know yourself, and you know yourself as an opposite field hitter, and you can't figure out why you're pulling the ball.
Oswalt gets a fly ball to left field, and that'll bring up Jose Lopez. So a couple of outs here in the 6th inning. Remember, last time out for Roy Oswalt was the lone win the Marlins had in the only game they played in Philadelphia, 6-5 win against the Phillies. They got 12 hits and 6 runs off Oswalt in that game. He's been a much different, a much better pitcher here tonight.
Well, he's kind of on that road earlier in this game. The Marlins are hitting him pretty well. 4 hits in the first 2 innings, and since then, like you said, I think he's gotten a lot better.
Wow, just like that, though, the Marlins got another run. Jose Lopez with a rocket to left field. He has been locked in his 27 games now as a Marlin. That's his 4th home run. So with one quick swing, the Marlins make it a 4-3 game.
Elevation. One of the few times in the last 4 or 5 innings that Oswalt has missed his spot and missed it up, and Jose Lopez did not miss that pitch.
That'll bring up Brian Peterson, who's had some good swings tonight. The thing about Lopez, when we saw him earlier and he wasn't playing all the time, he just get a pinch hit appearance. He didn't have the kind of swings he's had now. He went down, he hit 400. Now he's got a little more playing time. He's had a much better approach.
And when you get that little bit of confidence, when you got that playing time, like you said, he's a more aggressive hitter.
And he's an all-star. This guy was an all-star with the Seattle Mariners.
I think a lot of people don't realize what he had some really good years over there.
0-2 pitch just missing to Brian Peterson. 4-3 ball game. Good ball game tonight. Been some long balls, been some good plays. And a good pitch there by Roy Oswalt to strike out Brian Peterson for the second time tonight. But the Marlins get the solo shot off the bat of Jose Lopez. Here in the 6th inning, we'll go to the 7th. 4-3 Phillies. The New York Mets in their final trip to Sun Life Stadium Monday, September 5th through Wednesday the 7th. All 3 games are at 7:10. They're not. The final game is at 5:10. So make a note of that. Save money and take advantage of the Subway Monday and Miami Herald 2 for Tuesday ticket offers. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to Marlins.com. Marlins Baseball. Remember, the Wednesday game, September 7th, there you see it, is a 5:10 start.
Well, you say the last time the Mets are going to come to this ballpark, and we don't mean this year, we mean ever.
I thought we'd seen enough of the Mets
in
New York. 5 games in 4 days. But we mentioned it at the beginning of that series as Ryan Webb comes in, that at the beginning of that Mets series, the next 11 games, the Marlins will play the Mets 8 times.
Wow.
And, of course, the Mets took 4 or 5 at Citi Field. And the Marlins hope to play a little bit better against them next week. Back to the top of the order for the Phillies with Victorino, Polanco, and then Utley of Ryan Webb with that heavy, hard sinker.
Ryan Webb recently off the DL, had some shoulder issues. Like you said, mid-90s fastball. It's got some great movement to it. 95-mile-an-hour fastball there with a sinking action. I really don't know how he gets hit sometimes.
Because we saw, and we just saw Chris Hatcher, who's making the conversion from catcher to pitcher. We talked about 94 miles an hour he's throwing. Ryan Webb throws 94 with ease and with sink.
Yeah. I don't care how hard you throw. If it was straight, I felt I had a good chance of catching up to it eventually and hitting it. But when you've got a guy throwing 94, 95 with that kind of movement, that was a hitter's nightmare.
By the way, we're talking about the Mets coming to town. The Mets are in Washington tonight. They continue to play good ball. They have a 7-3 lead. Wright, Duda, Evans have all homered.
You mentioned that ballpark in New York City Field and how it plays pretty big.
Good swing by Victorino. It skips by Mike Stanton, and Victorino ends up at second base. He got kind of caught in between, and it's going to be a single for Victorino, and you charge Mike Stanton with an error. I don't know if Victorino ever hesitated. He was going to put some pressure on Mike, but here it is.
Good pitch on the outside part of the plate. And this field, you know, with the way the football's been played out, they had a game here last night. It's a rough surface. I think you got to be a little more cautious as an outfielder on a surface like this. Take a little bit deeper route. Make sure you get the hops that you want to. And that one right there, you know, he tacked it a little bit aggressively because he was worried about Victorino taking that extra base to second.
So for Mike, that's error number 6 on the year. Mike Dunn starts to get loose. Randy St. Clair out to chat with Ryan Webb. You got Polanco up, then you have the 2 left-handers. And I think we've noticed the difference with Randy Choate on the disabled list. We've noticed the difference with just the 1 left-hander in the bullpen. Well, we're talking about football. NFL Sunday coming up September 11th. The regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as 2 of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Or the Eagles battle the Rams, or the Lions and Buccaneers, and the Giants take on the Redskins. Or the Vikings and Chargers, Seahawks, 49ers, or Panthers and Cardinals. Coverage begins Sunday, September 11th with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the games in your area. Now I know why Rich Waltz just loved that read. There's Polanco doing his job, sending a ball to the right side and getting Victorino over to third.
Boy, look at the way he handles the bat on this pitch. A sinker in on his hands. And he chokes up so much he's almost using about a 30-inch bat to help him with that control. But he brings his hands inside just to do that. Hit a ground ball to second base and do his job.
Yeah, we're going to see Jack McKeon do his job. We saw Mike Dunn loosening up, the left-hander. So when you have this situation, you know you only have the 1 lefty in the bullpen. You have to go for your shot. So we'll go to the bullpen, and Mike Dunn will come in the game.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Rudy!
Niner, you were talking about that swing that Polanco had.
Yeah, you know, we talked about him being one of the premier second pole hitters in the league, and this is why right here you got a boring fastball. It's a good sinking fastball coming in. Look at the grip on the bat. First of all, he's choked up. He pulls his hands in because he wants to hit a ground ball to second base. Does everything. He's got to alter his body position just to control that bat head to lag behind his hands, so he hits that ground ball to second base. And look at the end result was a runner on third with 1 out.
Boy, now the task at hand for Mike Dunn. All right, come on down, come out of the bullpen and face Chase Utley and Ryan Howard with a runner at third and 1 out. The infield will come in, and Utley steps in. Utley's 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch and scored a run in the 6th. Jose Seda starts to loosen.
The third Marlins reliever with a 95+ mile-an-hour fastball. And Mike Dunn.
Utley after that first fastball and fouled it back.
Utley's very good at, the short time I played with him, very good at recognizing and knowing when he's going to get that fastball and really attack it. You saw right there, 95 mile-an-hour fastball, and he was right on it.
Let's go, Chase!
Good pitch there. Utley stands so close to the plate. He actually, when he holds his bat, he almost holds his hands over the plate. And Dunn ran that fastball in on him and shattered his bat.
Come on, Chase, all you! Let's go, RBI!
I think that's twofold. You want the outside pitch to look more like a middle pitch, but then you have the flip side where you can get a fastball in on your hands like that. He's got to clear and get his hands through that zone very early to be able to get to that pitch with the barrel of the bat.
Now remember, Utley started the year on the disabled list. He had right knee tendonitis. Wasn't really activated until May 23rd, so he hasn't had a full season. They certainly want to make sure he's healthy and ready. That's the one thing the Phillies will be able to do. But once they clinch things, they'll be able to rest a guy here and there to get guys strong and ready for postseason.
You'll have to drag him out of the lineup, though. That guy does not want to come out of the lineup.
Well, especially since he didn't start the season until May 23rd.
That will be his argument. I haven't had many at-bats this year. I'm not coming out.
Good job. Good block by John Buck on that slider in the dirt. Yeah, the Phillies have played 133 games. Utley's played 82. A lot of sliders tonight from numerous pitchers have made John Buck really work. 1-2, another slider, and this one gets away, and it's going to be another wild pitch, and it's going to be another Phillies run. So between Hatcher and Mike Dunn, they've had trouble with that slider. That one spinning, got away from Buck, and with the speed of Victorino, he was able to score from third base.
Yeah, you see, especially at this point in the game, that home plate area is beat up. It's kind of gotten more firm as the game has gone along. You see that ball almost like hitting concrete coming off that hard dirt. And it bounced way too far. Victorino's got very good speed.
Yeah, there's some runners might not score on that, but you have Victorino's speed. He was able to come in, got a good jump too. Fastball's pulled, Infante with the play. And Utley is out, but the damage on the prior pitch was done, allowing Victorino to score. 2 outs, and I'll bring up Ryan Howard.
You saw just a routine ground ball to second base there. Chase Utley running hard to first base.
What an example to all the Philly players. That's something scouts take note of, too, all the time.
And, of course, quite a role model in the Philadelphia area. I'm sure a lot of kids that play Little League Baseball watch the way he plays, and that has an impact on them as well.
So if you live in Philly and your kid came home and he said, I want to play like Chase Utley, you'd be happy.
I'd be a proud papa.
Big swing by Ryan Howard. It's amazing. Ryan Howard over his career has always struck out a lot. I mean, he struck out 152 times already this year. But he also always produces. Talked about the 6 consecutive years of 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Can't catch up to that high fastball.
Year I played with him in 06. I said he had, I think, 10 home runs in the first 10 or 12 games we played. 58 home runs that year, 149 RBIs. 47 and 136 the next year. 48 and 146 the following year. 2009, 45 and 141.
And there's a strikeout. There's a slider. That was a good one. Phillies are gone, but they do pick up a run in the top half here of the 7th inning. Philadelphia with a 5-3 lead. Hey, kids, be sure to tune in to Billy's Bunch on Fox Sports Florida tomorrow at 11 a.m. Brought to you by Players Edge Baseball Academy. You might get some Jeff Conine tips on Billy's Bunch.
You might.
Might get some of my tips.
You might.
We've contributed.
Yes, we have.
Oswalt back out there, and his first pitch to John Buck is a called strike. Yeah, I think the reason Oswalt is still in there, he's actually, over the last 2 or 3 innings, gotten in a better groove. Good pace, hasn't wasted much time. And as you said, Niner, he's pitched in a lot tonight.
A lot, especially to John Buck.
There's a ball lofted into center field, long way, but Victorino runs it down. He's done that a lot, and he's done that to many. The Gold Glover out there, Shane Victorino. Yeah, the amazing thing last night, the Marlins out-hit the Mets 10-6, but lost the game 7-5. They're out-hitting the Phillies 7-5. Phillies have 5 runs on 5 hits. Marlins 3 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors. The Marlins, who have played so well defensively, unfortunately are in a little bit of a slump defensively. 10 errors in their last 7 games. Sometimes you can make errors too and kind of camouflage them. They don't come back to hurt you, but recently the errors the Marlins have made have hurt. Mike Cameron's going to pinch hit. Pinch hitting for Mike Dunn.
But overall, you know, the Marlins are tied for 7th in the National League in fielding percentage, club fielding, and a big improvement over last year.
Overall, it's been a terrific job defensively. And I think, and you can attest to this, you go into little fielding slumps similar to you as you go into a hitting slump.
Sure. And I think a lot of that is determined by your slump at the plate as well.
Yeah, it's a nice job. Mike Cameron sitting over there on the bench realized that Oswalt was working a lot of hitters in, got that fastball in, adjusted to it, and got himself a pinch hit single.
That's what we call the alligator arm swing. Put his hands, pinched his hands into his body a little bit, just enough to get that barrel to the ball, delivered a hit to center field.
Charlie Manuel's going to make a move. He's going to go to his bullpen as Roy Oswalt checks out of this game. So will we.
When you need a car, truck or van, he's gonna call. Rudy!
The seventh inning. Tommy Hutton along with Jeff Conine, Frank Fort, Michael Stutz joins the cast. He'll come on to work here in the seventh inning. Back to the top of the order, and I think, Niner, that Charlie Manuel, given the fact that Oswalt was going to be seeing the top of the order again for the fourth time, and with the pitch count over 100, decided to make the move to Stutz.
Yeah, pitch count, I think it was up to like 115, so he was borderline, I think, coming into this inning anyway, and if he would have had a quick 1-2-3 inning, I think Charlie Manuel would have let him go and finish it out.
Stutz with a live arm, good fastballs and sliders. Cameron at first. Bonnie shows bunt and takes up high for ball one.
Not only do the Philadelphia Phillies have a pretty solid starting rotation, their bullpen has been pretty outstanding for them as well this year.
You know, I think it's one of the areas of their ball club that gets overlooked, because everyone focuses on the Atlanta Braves bullpen, especially their back three with O'Flaherty and Venters and Kimbrel. But you have a number of guys, number one, that can close games, because they've had to use a number of guys to close games. Right now, Ryan Madsen is that guy. Stutz with good numbers this year. Misses with that fastball. 2-0.
Bastardo's been almost unhittable. 52 innings pitched, has only given up 19 hits. A 112 batting average against.
That's pretty outstanding. And Stutz can't find the strike zone, so he's falling behind 3-0 with Omar Infante on deck. Tell you the other thing that goes overlooked, though. Now, this is just an analogy. You put those guys, Stutz, Bastardo, throw another one in there, in the Marlins bullpen, they might get overworked. But the way they're used with the Phillies, because you have guys like Halladay and Cliff Lee and all these guys throwing complete games and going deep into games, they're fresh. Every time they come in, they're fresh. Except right now, Stutz can't find the strike zone, and the Marlins are in business, runners at first and second, and one down.
Yeah, you're right. The workload of a bullpen when you got a starting staff going 7 innings a night versus a bullpen that's got a starting staff that's a lot of 4 inning starts, a lot of 5 inning starts. Those extra 2 innings per night put a lot of strain on arms over the course of a year.
Yeah, when you have starters going 5+ innings and then you're dipping into the bullpen, you're getting 3 or more innings out of your bullpen every night, and that takes its toll. One-0 pitch to Infante. Stutz has tried the fastball and the breaking ball and still having trouble throwing strikes. Charlie Manuel looking on to Charlie's left, former Marlins pitching coach Rich Doobie. Greg Gross to Doobie's left, their hitting instructor. Pete McCannon, bench coach. Good staff. They have Juan Samuel, third base coach, Sam Perlazzo. You've been around Sam Perlazzo, haven't you?
Absolutely, in Baltimore. Number of years in Baltimore, and Pete McCannon was my temporary manager after Jerry and Aaron got fired in Cincinnati. Charlie was my manager in Philadelphia. Rich Doobie had some time with him in Philadelphia and here with the Marlins.
Rich Doobie was John Bowles' pitching coach.
And went to a spring training with Juan Samuel when I was with the Royals.
Got them all covered.
I know. The whole staff except for Gross. I don't have no ties to Mr. Gross.
Cameron's at second base. He got a 1-out pinch hit single. Bonifacio's over at first. He walked. And the count's 2-2 to Omar Infante.
I'm pretty certain Bonifacio is going to take that 3-1 pitch. We've seen him do that a lot this year. 3-0. He'll go ahead and take 2 pitches. And Stutz tried to throw him a slider 3-1.
There's a slider there that misses. 3-2. Good night for Infante. He's 2 for 3. Had a bunt single in the first, a double, and scored a run in the third. Greg Dobbs awaits. With the slider, 3-2. A little bit of a surprise. Good pitch. He got the fly ball and out number 2. You surprised at that pitch?
I was surprised, yes, definitely surprised. I think it surprised Omar Infante too. You saw the swing, and I think he was expecting a fastball all the way, because that was kind of a hanger.
It's almost like an emergency swing. He was hoping he fouled the ball off to just stay alive, and unfortunately hit the center field.
Elevated slider right down the middle, and
got it backed up a little bit too.
It did.
Is that a pitch that if you see earlier in the count, more of a hitter's count, you have a better swing at?
Yes. Against a pitcher like that that's got a pretty firm fastball, I'm looking fastball on that count all the time.
They stayed with that breaking ball. First pitch to Greg Dobbs is low. Dobbs looking for a base hit tonight, 0 for 3. But came into this game with a batting average against his former team over 400 this year. Trying to find that hole, picked by Polanco. Wow. The Gold Glove of Placido Polanco. Goes out Greg Dobbs, gets the Phillies out of the inning. And we've played 7 innings now at Sun Life. Greg Dobbs is robbed by Placido. 5-3 Phillies. 9 along with Frank Ford. Phillies have a 5-3 lead. Bring in Jose Seda, hard-throwing right-hander. And I think, again, we've seen a little growth from the times we've seen Seda, a little bit last year, and seeing him now this year.
That was an outstanding season in AAA this year. When he got called up, leading the league in saves. I think he had 24 saves in AAA this year.
So big guy, mainly fastballs, hard fastballs and sliders.
There's that interesting warm-up swing by Hunter Pence.
Jose Seda this year in New Orleans was 3-1, had a 1.36 ERA, and as you said, 24 out of 27 saves. Phillies have 5 runs on 5 hits. The Marlins 3 runs on 8 hits. Phillies have played terrific defense. Got that nice play from Polanco to end the inning. Yeah, Pence airs it out.
Yes, he does. Oh.
There's a aforementioned Antonio Bastardo with hitters hitting 112 against him.
Good slider.
You think about it when you get into postseason, how there's so much focus on bullpens, but when you focus on the Phillies bullpen, you're really just thinking 8th and 9th innings. You know, and sometimes not even that.
Which, what a wonderful problem to have,
Yeah.
for Charlie Manuel. You only have to worry about a couple innings. You can mix and match and have matchups. And if one guy's not doing the job, you've got 2 or 3 others that could step into a closing type situation and do very well. Brad Lidge is back now, healthy and back on the team. He's only pitched 10 innings so far, but got a 1.74 ERA, only giving up 7 hits.
Going to be a tough play for Dobbs. Pence runs well, and Greg Dobbs just can't get it there in time. Hunter Pence with an infield single. Hunter Pence has been on base all 4 times tonight. He walked, reached on an error, walked again, and now an infield base hit.
Just an all-out player that can beat you so many different ways. Great defense. You saw the speed there. Good power.
Don Mayberry Jr. comes up. He's had the home run, the sac fly, 3 RBIs tonight. Good fastball by Seda. Phillies trying to go 42 games over 500 for the first time ever in their history. Some more good heat.
You look at the parade of arms that the Marlins have been throwing out there the last couple innings as far as arm strength is concerned. Pretty much every pitcher's hit 95 miles an hour. Obviously you don't win games by radar guns, but when you're looking at potential for future bullpen arms, and looks like the Marlins have a pretty good lot to choose from.
Jose Seda said, let me just pour 94 by you, and he did, and gets Mayberry for the first out of the inning.
Good fastball right there in the outside corner. Tough pitch to hit. I think so many guys nowadays lose the sight, the fact that the fastball is still probably the most effective pitch in baseball. They try to trick you and go with all this split fingers and sliders, and you know, we witnessed one of the better closer years ever with Armando Benitez.
Want to Jack's favorites.
One of Jack, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
He saved 47 out of 51 games that year, had an under 2 ERA, and I would say probably 90% of his pitches were fastballs. He just located in the outside part of the plate.
Guys knew he was going to throw.
They knew that's all he threw. He knew every time. That was he threw in a split finger every once in a while, but you can be so effective with a fastball if you just put it on the outside part of the plate when you want to.
So that's all part, as you've talked about the arms we've seen. Hatcher, Webb, Dunn, now Seda come into this game and throw 95 plus. But it's part of the process up here to locate that stuff, because we've seen in the case of a Leo Nunez, has great stuff, but if he can't locate it, he gets hurt.
Hitters make a living on hitting pitchers' mistakes. If a pitcher makes his pitch, an average major league hitter might hit 260 in a year, but if you're hitting pitchers' pitches, it's going to go well below that.
Speak for yourself. That was pretty good for me, 260. Then you have a guy like Edward Mujica, who doesn't throw 95, but throws strike after strike after strike.
And is good against both lefties and righties. Very effective against lefties, maybe even more so because of that terrific split finger that he has.
We were laughing the other night how players have such great memories. He was the answer to our trivia question. The first pitcher to get a win at Citi Field. The Padres were playing in Citi Field, and he came out of the bullpen and he said, yeah, one pitch.
One pitch, you got the win.
One pitch. And we said, who'd you face? He said, Carlos Delgado. So I'm assuming he got him with a splitter. He said, no, fastball. Going with the heat. And it's 2-2 to Carlos Ruiz. Is another guy who is so valuable to this Philadelphia Phillies team. Their catcher, Carlos Ruiz. Handles a great staff, handled the perfect game pitched by Roy Halladay right here.
He probably handled the no-hitter by Halladay in the playoffs as well.
Yes, he did, against Cincinnati.
Got some big hits that series.
Always gets big hits.
Yeah.
He like comes alive in postseason. In the 2 World Series that Ruiz has participated in, 11 games, pretty good sample size. He's hit over 350. Pence going on that 3-2 pitch, but Ruiz fouls it back. I would assume if he went with 1 out on the last 3-2 pitch, he'll be going again.
You are correct, sir.
And the slider is low for ball 4. The dilemma that Jack gets in, many other managers do too. It's not just Jack McKeon. Is that over the last 5 to 10 years, there have been so many pitchers coming up in the minor leagues, relief pitchers, who are geared to pitch just 1 inning. And it really straps a manager as to how he can use that pitcher and what it does to a bullpen. Here's Wilson Valdez with runners at first and second.
I think it's a pretty firm belief of mine that closer is about the only guy you don't do more than 1 inning. And if
I'm
you
fine
do,
if a closer is a
if you
1
do
inning
it,
guy.
it's occasionally. You don't see too many, because when they go back out there for the 2nd inning, they're just not the same pitcher. But I agree. I mean, everyone else should be able to go more than 1 inning if you need them to.
I think if you have young guys who you think are your prospects in the minor leagues, and you see them as bullpen guys, they're not starters, that they should go more than 1 inning. If they're just going 1 inning in the minor leagues, then they're going to get in trouble up here. Let them stretch it out, let them develop, let them work on other pitches. That might have got a piece of Seda. Oh, what a double play. I think it went 1-4-6-3. Either way, it was a great double play turned by the Fish. And they get out of the inning. Phillies don't score. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, and it's still 5-3 Philadelphia. What a pair. Bonifacio and Infante talk about a great play. Let's look at our SunTrust performance play of the game.
I mean, Omar Infante doesn't even think about going to the hand with this ball. That takes time. He wants to go shortest amount of time possible. Perfect feed to Bonifacio. We'll call that the neighborhood play. Bonnie gets underneath the throw a little bit, throws it high and inside. Lope does a great job of coming off the bag and applying the tag. And you know, anytime a play is made like that, Perry Hill will come over and talk to those guys. He's probably talking to Bonifacio right now about why that throw sailed high and in. And he probably told him your arm came down, your feet were in good position, but you got to get your arm up. And that's just Perry Hill. He keeps on these guys. He expects perfection, and as a result, Marlins team fielding has been much better this year.
Yeah, and upon further review, that was not touched by Seda. It was a clean 4-6-3, and you're right about Perry Hill. Now we get to see Antonio Bastardo, the tough left-hander, opposing batters hitting 112 against this lefty. And so Charlie not afraid to bring him in, even with Mike Stanton leading the inning off.
Another hard throwing guy out of the bullpen. 93 on that fastball, first fastball.
There's another guy, looks like, from here, if he looks like he hides the ball well, you know he hides the ball well when you're standing in the batter's box. Good breaking ball, fastball, use a changeup.
And there are some guys that throw velocity-wise much harder, but you pick the ball up so much earlier that it doesn't look that hard, where a guy that might be throwing 88 will get on you in a hurry because he hides the ball very well.
and finds a perfect spot with that fastball.
Then you got the guys that are a combination of both, and you're in really big trouble.
Those guys go to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The Phillies have one of those guys throwing Sunday.
Yeah, he hides the ball pretty well.
Roy Halladay. Good matchups after tonight. Tomorrow night, Ricky Nolasco and Cole Hamels. And on Sunday, Anibal Sanchez and Roy Halladay. Looks like Bastardo just constantly buries that breaking ball down and into righties. Not afraid to throw his fastball in there.
6 games has yet to give up a run to the Marlins. You've seen a lot of the Phillies pitching staff has gone inside to the Marlin hitters tonight. A lot of times teams will pitch staff wide hitters a certain pattern, like everyone might pitch John Buck in, relievers, starters, like a plan from the pitching coach.
Ray goes down and in with that breaking ball and gets Mike to chase it. Let's check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
Well, Tommy, Rich, I want to say Rich because we know we all love Rich. Tommy and Niner, you mentioned the 112 opponent's batting average that Bastardo has held hitters to. That is the lowest in Major League history for any pitcher who's pitched a minimum of 50 innings. Eric Gagne of the Dodgers, and you guys remember this in 2003, held opponents to a 133 average. That was the year he saved 55 games. So Bastardo, now with that out, even a little bit lower, he is on his way to an historic season as far as opponents' batting average. Hut, Niner?
All right, Frank, thank you. We all miss Rich, and in case you just joined us, Frank Fort, myself, and Jeff Conine, Rich Waltz on a Fox assignment with a little ACC football this weekend, and we'll have him back Sunday. So, Niner, we'll get to do this again tomorrow night.
Can't wait.
You know, one thing, I was just looking at Bastardo, and it kind of goes along with what we were talking about. His career ERA in the minor leagues, 2.48, so he threw the ball well. 51 starts in the minor leagues. He pitched a lot. What a concept. He learned how to pitch. And then as he got a little higher in the organization, started working out of the bullpen.
Well, I think that does a couple things when you've got that kind of experience in the minor leagues. One, you see a ton more hitters, so you have to adjust to different hitters, lefties, righties. Situations. When you're going 4, 5, 6 innings, and then it builds arm strength. The young guys, they come up, and I don't think they've really thrown enough to build their arm strength, and they run into arm problems pretty quickly.
Shallow right field. Looks like Chase Utley will take charge. He does. And Lomo is out. But Lomo's had a nice night. He's going 2 for 4 now. Single and triple. Pop up and a fly ball out. Well, what a swing by Jose Lopez last time up. It's our Gunther drive of the game. Got a pitch up in the zone. And for Jose Lopez, 4th home run as the Marlin, making his 4th start at first base also tonight. Yeah, Bastardo just 25, be 26 later this month. Not overpowering, just spots that fastball very well.
Very well. Deceptive, like we said. Big breaking ball. And puts the ball where he wants to. He's hit his target pretty much every time tonight. but another guy that Charlie Manuel could go to close a game if need be, if something happens. The other guys that have been closing, Ryan Manson, Brad Lidge, you'll see him, I'm sure, sometime this series. And
well, because of issues they had earlier this year, Bastardo has 8 saves. Jose Contreras, who's on the disabled list, Contreras has 5 saves. Lidge has a save, and Madsen with 26.
that'd be one pretty good closer if you wrapped them all up together. It's 40 saves on the season.
Well, that's the thing. They have numerous guys that you have. Just like you said, you have a closer that you can bring in the 7th inning, maybe the 8th inning, before you get to Madsen. In the air, a lot of hang time. Victorino will get to it, and the Marlins go 1-2-3 off Antonio Bastardo in the 8th inning. We will go to the 9th with the Phillies on top by 2. Lead. We're headed to the top of the 9th inning. Marlins have out-hit the Phillies. The Phillies have held on to a 2-run lead. Fans, to commemorate the team's history as the Florida Marlins, we want you to help us select the top memories in the team's 19 seasons. Just go to Marlins.com and cast your vote for the top memory, and be at Marlins closing day on September 28th, where the winning memory will be revealed. And Jeff Conine does not know that yet. Go to Marlins.com and vote today. John Bowker, who was just acquired by the Phillies, stands in. Bowker was acquired from Pittsburgh. Left-handed hitter out of Long Beach State. He's having a good season in Indianapolis, AAA. We've seen him before with San Francisco.
What don't I know?
The most memorable play in the Marlins' 19 years history.
Been a few,
and that's the most memorable play in this ballpark.
So there's parameters,
and I believe you're a participant in a couple of the selections too. At least one that I know of.
There's one memorable one that sticks out in my mind.
I remember that. So Bowker being acquired just to kind of bolster their bench a little bit. Jose Seda still in there. I think this is good for a young guy like Seda to get an opportunity, because probably when he was closing in AAA was just being used for 1 inning.
Yes. And this is one of the guys you're going to see quite a bit here in September, I would think. Kind of his audition for making the big league team next year out of spring training.
24 years old. Remember, Seda came over from the Cubs organization when the Marlins sent Kevin Gregg to Chicago. Good slider there to get Bauker. So Seda picks up his second strikeout.
We saw him go to some good changeups, and here, this is a really tough slider. Starts off right at the left-hander's hip, about mid-thigh high. It looks like a fastball coming in. You start your swing and just cannot hold it up.
Now Seda will have to deal at the top of the order. It's been a busy night for the Flying Hawaiian. Shane Victorino tripled in the first inning, scored a run, walked in the fifth, singled in the seventh, and came in to score. Seda pours in a good fastball for strike one. Nice job by Jose Lopez. Moved back to get the nice hop, the bigger hop, and got the out at first base.
You look for your pitcher to be a little closer to the bag, though, when there's a ball hit to the right side of the infield. Seda's about 6'5", not too fleet of foot. He actually got a fairly good jump, but
that's a play I think Lopez was thinking about flipping it to Seda.
Yes, he was. He realized that he wasn't going to be close enough to the bag, so he had to take it himself.
I know you agree with me. My theory, though, is if the first baseman can take it, take it.
Every time. I tell my kids that I coach, I'm like, if you can take it and get the pitcher out of there, he's running, trying to find the bag, trying to find the throw. It's a tough play to make on the run. If you can take it at any time, take it yourself.
0-1 to Placido Polanco. He's had an impact on this game just with that one nice defensive play. Also had a sac fly back in the first inning.
Outstanding play on Greg Dobbs. Would have been a base hit to left field to score a run. Ooh, good pitch.
And Dobbs hit that ball in the seventh inning with a couple of men on base, men on first and second. Polanco diving to his left. Let's see where this pitch is. Ooh.
Strike.
What a compact swing. Polanco picks up a base hit.
Puts it right on the ball, doesn't he? Doesn't matter how hard you're throwing. Very short. You see he doesn't go back too far with his hands. Great position. Just puts the barrel on the ball.
Given the fact, too, that he hits in front of Utley and Howard, how many fastballs does he see, too?
Quite a few.
Speaking of Chase Utley, here he is. Looking for his first base hit tonight. Was hit by a pitch in the sixth inning and scored. Utley's one of those players, you watch him over the years, which we've had a chance to do. There's always something he does in a game that will hurt you. If it's not a base hit, it's getting hit by a pitch, it's making a play, having a good at bat.
Hustling, going first to third, breaking up a double play.
Oh,
very
he does
good at that.
well.
Yes. It's very consistent. Pretty much on a nightly basis, you're going to get the same level of effort.
And he went to UCLA.
And I mean, does it get any better than that, really, Tommy?
He just got under one, but it'll stay in the ballpark for Mike Stanton. Good couple of innings for the big right-hander, Jose Seda. Gets Utley there. Marlins with the last chance. Phillies lead 5-3. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Marooney. Hey, South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? Call 1-877-MAROONEY. By Quikrete. Visit quikrete.com. Quikrete, it's what America's made of. And by Subway, eat fresh. There you see the Lions score. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth inning. The Phillies hang on to a 5-3 lead. They have utilized a couple of their terrific arms out of the bullpen. We saw Antonio Bastardo. Now it's up to their closer, Ryan Madson. And Madson has Brian Peterson first to face. It's a guy with a good arm and good stuff.
Very good arm, very good stuff. Mid upper 90s fastball, great changeup. I think early on in his career he got into trouble with that changeup by using it too much, and the hitters started expecting it. But now he really establishes that fastball early in counts, and has an excellent changeup as an out pitch.
And again, working a fastball in, so that's kind of been the trend of the Phillies pitchers tonight. A fastball in and comes back with the changeup.
Changeup, boy, that's a devastating pitch. It's put in that location.
Well, the Phillies trying to make it 22 wins in their last 27 games here in South Florida. Little tapper, big trouble with the speed of Peterson, but a good play by Ryan Madson. And that'll bring up John Buck. Post game coming up next. Frank Fort will have all kinds of information for you. Jeff Conine and I will be back tomorrow night with Ricky Nolasco and Cole Hamels.
And the anchor of that staff, Roy Halladay, on Sunday.
So it doesn't get any easier. Haven't had a chance to thank our crew, AJ Speaks, Jim Holly, Ken Lee, Bill Wadelick. All the regulars are on hand tonight.
Well, they continue to pound John Buck inside. I mean, every single pitch you see Ruiz setting up in. They'll go away now probably with a fastball again.
Now, as you're a hitter, you have a guy in a game, you know you're going to play them 2 more times. They pound you inside tonight. What do you do tomorrow night?
Well, I think I start looking for that pitch inside, maybe anticipating the inside pitch, clearing the hips a little bit so I can get my bat to that ball.
I believe that ball was called foul. It's the call of the home plate umpire until it gets past the bag. So I was looking at Joe West at third. He was just waiting for it to get by the bag. Watch the home plate umpire. He makes a call. Home plate umpire Sam Holbrook holds up his hands, makes a call. Joe West was just an innocent bystander there, watching the play unfold. Count is 1-2. The scoreboard has 1-1. Now it's correct.
That's a good take right there.
So what you do, you adjust to make them readjust.
Yeah, I mean, they are going to pitch you a certain way until you prove to them that you're going to hit that pattern of pitching. So if they're throwing me in, I'm going to try and get them out of there so they'll do something else.
Then he gives him the changeup. It's John Buck, and Madson's come on, face 2. He's retired 2.
We talked about that great changeup that he has. Very difficult to pick up rotation. Arm speed is exactly the same as his fastball. that pitch in the outside corner like that, you think it's going to be a fastball, drops down.
Gabby Sanchez is pinch hitting. We mentioned earlier Gabby's birthday tonight, celebrating birthday number 28. So a happy to Gabby. He's disappointed. He would have liked to have been in the lineup tonight. Mentioned he had a couple of good games in New York. Going into the game last night, he took an 0 for last night. But going into the game last night, Gabby had hit in 2 straight. He was 4 for 8.
Yeah, had some really good at-bats in New York. I thought he swung the bat very well. And when you get on a roll like that, you want to try to keep it going, even though he might have had an 0 for 4 last night. Let's get right back in the saddle.
Well, the Philly fans that are here are certainly all standing, rooting for Madsen to close this out. Madsen trying to pick up save number 27. In a night where the Marlins actually through 3 innings had a 2-1 lead. The big blow for the Phillies came in the 5th inning, a 2-run homer by John Mayberry Jr. Put them on top. They added a run in the 6th, 1 more in the 7th. And that's how it stands right now. 5-3. Gabby with a line drive is sinking, and Mayberry can't get to it. So the Marlins' 2 pinch hitters tonight, Mike Cameron and Gabby Sanchez, have come through. So another good swing by Gabby.
Another great swing and a pitch was trying to get in, but it went right down the middle of the plate. Gabby did not miss that one. See here, he wants it down and away.
Yeah.
Sails right over inner third. Nice compact swing by Gabby.
So it's all you hope for. You get the tying run to the plate. Madsen pounds that fastball on the outside corner, strike 1. Changeup outside part of the plate. Changeup. Bonifacio is gone, and so are the Marlins in this one. Phillies hang on the win at 5-3. Roy Oswalt picks up the win in this one. They get a big hit from John Mayberry Jr. and they continue their dominance of the Marlins here in South Florida. Marlins Live is coming up next. Phillies win at 5-3.